You want to see what I looked like when I finally started feeling confident about myself for the first time in my life? Like many of you watching this video, I spent most of my whole life never truly feeling confident about myself. And I tried hard to get that confidence by striving to have the perfect body. But the truth is, I never felt confident when my body looked like this, or when it looked like this, or even when it looked like this. It took me having to get to a full-on breaking point during the beginning stages of my own recovery from an eating disorder to finally get so sick and tired of being the person who had always hated herself, who always fixated on something that needed to be better about me. And then once I fixed that thing, then there was something else to fixate on. Or if I couldn't achieve whatever massive, unattainable goal it felt like I had for myself, then I didn't have a right to feel confident. If I didn't have a certain look, I didn't have a right to feel confident. And when I was right there in my recovery, in a body that I had spent most of my life trying to avoid being anywhere close to, but literally having to be there for the purposes of healing, it forced me to take a good hard look at myself, at my self-concept, and at my life. And I realized I was so done being that person who doesn't feel confident. I was so done being that person who said, I can't feel confident until. I can't feel confident until I look like. And it changed my life. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt confident in the biggest body I'd ever been in my life, at the least attractive I had ever felt in my entire life, going against all society's standards that say you cannot feel confident if you look like that. But it freaking liberated me. And I want to do the exact same thing for you, because if there is one thing that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I know I can teach you how to do, it is to build confidence. And it does not matter what circumstances you are coming from. It does not matter how you have felt all your life about yourself up to now. It can be changed. And you can become a confident person at absolutely any size, any age, or any stage of your life. And funnily enough, this is just the way it works. Once you start doing this work and building this confidence, it has a way of making other things really fall into place. So for those of you who, like, for example, have been trying to lose weight forever and ever, and you haven't been able to, it's been such a struggle, building confidence as you are right now has a way of helping your body finally relax, let go, and then it happens on its own without you even trying to. And when I finally started feeling confident about myself for the first time in my life, not only was I personally in the biggest body that I'd ever been in, it was at the span of like over 100 pounds that I had gained over this process, but I also had a whole bunch of health problems. But I also, just a month before I started this process, had just broken up with my boyfriend of over 5.5 years. So I know all the excuses as far as, oh, but I have this going on in my life. Oh, but I look like this. Oh, I have these health problems. Oh, my relationship status, whatever. I've been there. And I promise you, it is still possible. You just have to know what to do. So that's exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video today. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Jessie Riemann. And if you would like to work with me in one-on-one coaching, I will help you become the happiest, healthiest, most confident version of you've ever been in your life. And for those of you who are wanting to lose weight, get the glow up, then I can help you do that too, without dieting, without extremes, without pills, products, fad gimmicks. You just have to be ready to be done with the old version of you and to be ready to do the work. And we're going to be a great team. So you can sign up for one of my brand new coaching programs that I just announced in the last video. Everything will be linked in the description box below. So real quick, before I tell you exactly how I did this and how you can do this for yourself, let's start by talking about why changing your body, why losing weight, why being a different size than you are right now is never going to give you confidence. Well, This is because confidence is not in a look, despite what media would have us believe. And believe you me, they make money off of making us think that. However, we know if you really look back at any time in your life where maybe you have been smaller than you are right now, you still weren't confident. You might have gotten more compliments. It might have been easier to fit in certain kind of clothes that you like. However, I guarantee you were still focusing and fixating on what you thought was wrong with you. In other words, you will still focus on why you don't deserve to be confident yet. So that's why confidence absolutely has to be developed from within first. Now, I know that that isn't easy, but I'm not here to bring you easy. I'm here to help those of you who actually want to change your life, who want to stop staying in that life, that version of you who basically just always feels like life never gets better. I never feel good about myself. It doesn't matter what I do, things are never going to get better. No, this is for those of you, the things that I teach you here today, forever on this channel in coaching are for those of you who are ready to change it and who realize that no, it might not be easy, but the more you do this, the better it gets, the better it gets. And that is worth it. And if you're even questioning that right now, then all I want you to do right now is imagine if you didn't change anything, if you don't take one piece of advice from my video today, I want you to imagine that your life, the way you feel about yourself, your confidence, everything stays on the same trajectory for the next 20 years. Heck, for the rest of your life. How does that feel to you? If you just had a response that was like, oh, hell no, I don't want that. That is not how I want my future to be. Then it is time to learn what you need to do and start doing it. Step number 1 to becoming a confident person at any size is you got to be done with the old version of you. And this means you have got to get so fed up with being where you are right now. You got to associate that with so much pain. And the only way that we do that is to start realizing, how much am I criticizing myself? Let's start being aware of every single time I say something nasty or negative about my body, about my appearance, about myself. We got to stop doing that. You got to be so done with that old version of you, because as long as you stay the version of you who's always criticizing yourself, who's always saying, I don't have a right to feel confident because I don't have this body, you will stay there and you will never feel confident. And if any resistance to change is coming up, which is normal, that can happen sometimes, then I want you to watch and listen to reason 2 in my last video that was about the only 2 reasons you're not getting whatever you want, and essentially how to get what you want. But basically right there, I explained to you how to get in touch with whatever that resistance is and how to work with it so that you can meet your own needs, the part of you that's afraid to change, so that you can meet those needs so that it gets on board with you making this change. Step 2 is you got to be willing to look at yourself every day in the mirror and tell yourself how beautiful, how amazing, how incredible, and how lovable you are every single day, especially when it feels uncomfortable, especially when you don't want to, because you know who needed to hear that? Little you. The reason that you feel the way that you do about yourself right now, the reason that you don't have confidence, and the reason that you think you have to have a certain body or a certain appearance or whatever in order for you to feel confident, is because somebody or multiple people made you feel that way when you were little. It goes back way back. It goes back that far. And so it started out not being your fault that you didn't have confidence. However, as an adult, it is your responsibility now to love yourself the way that you always deserved to be loved. And not just loved, but you deserved that little you that's still within you, that's still within all of us, deserves to be treated the way that you weren't, deserves to have their own best friend, their own best parents. If we had all had that, we would all be confident people to this day, but we didn't. So we can start by saying, okay, it sucks. I was taught not to feel confident about myself. However, I don't want to stay there. And I do have the ability to change it. And that means that you can't talk to yourself anymore the way that you have been this whole time. When you criticize yourself, when you pinpoint every little thing you think is wrong with you and everything that needs to be changed about you before you're allowed to feel good about yourself, you're essentially telling that little you that you're still not good enough. And I know, believe me, I know. Because I was there. I know how hard it is when you've been feeling so bad about yourself for so long to get up and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're incredible, I love you, you're enough. Because it feels fake. It feels like you're lying to yourself. I hear that all the time. And I felt this way too. But what is the alternative? What's the alternative? That you're essentially going to look at yourself in the mirror and say, ooh, look at this. Ooh, this is wrong. Ooh, I need to fix that. Oh, I can't even look at myself. Is that the alternative? And I know you think, oh, well, if I looked like this or if I changed this, it would change and I wouldn't criticize myself anymore. But you know that's not true. I have experienced it for myself. And every single time I tweaked and changed and tried to perfect everything, it made it worse. Because think about the habit that we're in. The habit is I am focused on picking out what is wrong with me. And as I described to you guys in the last video, whatever your most dominant self-concept is, which means whatever thoughts you have thought the most consistently about yourself over and over and over, those become your beliefs and then they become your self-concept. So as long as it's still your self-concept to focus on everything that's wrong with you instead of saying nice things to you, you will never, ever, 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 ever become a confident person. So you've got to start now. I want you to be thinking of 10 things every single day to say nice to yourself. And as I always say with my clients, my one stipulation for this is to make sure that they are not all things that you do for other people. Now, it's incredible that you are an amazing friend and an amazing mother and an amazing listener and you do nice things for other people. That's fantastic. We, of course, want to be the kind of people who give to other people, but you need to see your value independent of other people and what you do for other people and how they see you. So what nice things can you say about yourself? And if you sit here right now and you tell me, I can't think of anything, then you don't want this bad enough. And I'm not saying that to be mean to you. I'm saying that you are then choosing to stay the version of you who's in victim mentality and says, I don't have a choice. I can't be confident. You do have a choice. And I know that it feels uncomfortable and like you're lying to yourself right now, but when you do this over time, it does change your subconscious mind and you will start to believe these things about yourself. Not to mention, it will start to feel good because you're being nice to yourself. You like it when other people are nice to you, right? That feels really good. Well, why aren't you doing that for you? It might even be a really good idea for some of you to keep a picture with you at all times, maybe tape it to your mirror of little you. When you were little, put it there and remind yourself, oh my God, she deserved to have somebody always tell her nice things about herself and her appearance and her body. She deserved to be loved unconditionally just for being who she was, not needing to look a certain way. And you get to do that for you. So be your own best parent, be your own best friend. And this was one of the very first things that I started to do to build my confidence. And like I said, it was hard. I didn't want to do it, but I also didn't want to stay the same person. Now, step 3 is you got to clean up your environment. Now, we can take that quite literally. And I'll just say this for a second. The way that your home, your living space, your car, all those kind of things look right now is actually a reflection of how you feel about yourself and your own state of current mental health. So this isn't to make you feel bad about maybe not being the cleanest, most tidy person in the world, but I do want to just take this as an opportunity to say it does help your self-esteem and your confidence when your environment looks clean and tidy to some extent and really looks like you, thus my background environment for these videos. But what I really mean when I say to clean up your environment is to take stock in the current people in your life and the current things that you are taking in via social media, TV, internet, etc. And I want you to pay attention to how those people and how the content that you're taking in makes you feel. If you've never heard the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around, let me tell it to you right now. I guess I just did, right? But what that means, and actually this now translates because so many of us spend so much of our time online, that now includes the content that we're taking in the most often, because we all kind of have our favorite content creators, right? Or at least our favorite topics. You're being surrounded by those people who are influencing you and your energy. So before we get into social media and TV and stuff, let's start by the people in your own life right now. Do you currently have people that make you feel like you shouldn't be confident the way you look right now? Do you currently have people in your life that make you feel like there's something wrong with your body or your physical appearance or just you in general? Because if you do, then I'm going to tell you right now, you're making it 10 million times harder to be confident. And that means that if you've already gone through step number 1 and you're like, I'm done, I'm ready, I want to be kind to myself, I want to help myself become confident, because I deserve it. I see that I deserve it. Then that also means paying attention to what kind of people are allowed to stay in your life. You guys know I'm a big fan of talking about this because I did this in my own life. And let me tell you right now, I cut my own mother out of my life. And if you do not think that was hard, that I didn't have to deal with feelings of guilt and shame, you are so wrong. It was so hard. It's difficult in general to cut someone that you love out of your life, but especially when it's a family member and especially a parent, because we have all the societal expectation of what kind of relationships we should have with our parents. But when I realized that this woman was never going to love me for who I am and was always going to need me to be something else, I realized this was not a good influence on me. And I had other relationships in my life like that. I had friendships that were like that. I had a coach and mentor. I've talked to you guys about this before who was like that. And it was influencing me. Now, it is important to get these kind of people and these kind of influences away from you, but it's also important to recognize that each and every one of these people you have in your life is a mirror of how you feel about yourself, especially when it's new people. It's not your parents. I mean, it is true of that, but let's just stay with this. Your friends, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your whomever you're dating, your teachers, your coaches, etc. The people that you are choosing to be in your life are a reflection of how the way that they treat you is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself and how you treat yourself. So the reason I'm saying this is it's important to recognize if I have these kind of people in my life right now, it's partly because they're showing me how I feel about me. They're showing me how I treat me. So even when you get these people out of your life, it's important for you to still be doing this work and say, I still have to be the number one person who changes how I treat myself. I have to start being kind to myself. I have to be my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader, and love myself, because only then will that reflect in the new people that I meet. Or even, believe it or not, sometimes, depending on how toxic we're talking about with the people in your life, only you know, you got to be honest with yourself. However, when you start to change how you are treating yourself and how you're talking to yourself, and you're starting to love yourself and you're starting to build this confidence, it has a tendency to change the way that the people in your life are treating you. So just know that if you're doing this work, you're being kind to yourself, and those people haven't changed, they're still being cruel to you, it's time, baby girl. It is time. You got to get those people out, or at the very least, create huge boundaries and maybe more distance from them, because this life is for you. You are not living your life anymore for anybody else. Your life has to be about what's best for you. And only then will you truly be able to have incredible relationships that are compatible with you. But then because you are fulfilled and whole and you love yourself, you'll want to give to other people. So let's bring in social media and TV to this as well. You still have to pay attention to this, and it's going to have to be changed. So for one thing, if you're following content that makes you compare yourself, it makes you feel bad about yourself in any way, shape, or form, question whether or not it's actually good for you. Now, when you do work on your confidence, you'll tend to get a whole lot less triggered by what you see on social media. But it's still a good idea to just look at, is this really serving me? Is this helping me? And maybe even, am I getting any benefit from watching this content? Now, some of the time when you get triggered, actually all the time, but your triggers are there to wake you up to how these insecurities that you already have in you so that you can heal and work through them. However, you guys know what kind of content you shouldn't be watching for you. You know if you're actually honest with yourself. So start there. Secondly, start following a lot more people who are similar to you, who look similar to you, and who seem like they are happy with themselves and are kind to themselves and love themselves. Because the more you see examples of people who look more similar to you, who can feel confident, who can love themselves, who have happy, healthy relationships and so on, then it will influence you rather than constantly following and watching, for example, people that look absolutely nothing like you and you think they are the only way that you'd be beautiful or that you could feel confident is if you looked like them. That's going to do nothing for your confidence building right now. So that's another thing that I really did is I cleaned up the people in my life, cleaned them up, got toxic people out of my life. Only allowed people in my life that were really supportive and loving and really accepted me for who, how, and what I am and what I was at that time, how I looked. And I only pretty much, now it's not perfect because I've still had to work on myself ever since, but I really tried to be diligent about only following content from people like what I've described to you. And it really did help me to follow women who were, at that time, because I was in a bigger body, who were in bigger bodies and also who looked more like me, that made me feel like, oh, maybe I don't have to do all these other things in order to feel confident. If she can do it, you know what? Then I can do it too. And step 4 is you got to show up for yourself. Now, in this chapter, we are going to be touching on physical appearance because it is an important factor, but it is not the sole factor or the most important factor in the grand scheme of becoming a confident person and being confident at any size. However, like I said earlier, the way that you feel about yourself, your current self-concept, and your current level of confidence is 100% going to reflect in your appearance. And so part of showing up for yourself means not waiting until you are a different size, waiting until you look a different way to start showing up for where your physical appearance is right now and taking care of your physical appearance and your body. Now, I'm also always a big fan of saying this. This does not mean that you need to be really glam, especially all the time if that's not your thing. Or maybe it's not your thing at all. Maybe you're somebody who really doesn't even necessarily like makeup. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that you just get to throw everything out with it and say, well, because I don't want to be this super glam person, then I'm just not going to do anything for my appearance. Take care of yourself and take care of your appearance the way that you think you would once you got to that place where, you're like a different size or you look differently. Start doing that now and it will affect your confidence. It's going to affect how you feel right now. What's the alternative? That you're going to spend the rest of this time in your baggy sweats with your hair up in a messy bun, not taking care of yourself, dressing and looking like you don't care about yourself? Does that sound like somebody who feels confident in themselves? And mind you, I'm not talking about doing this all the time. Of course, have your relaxing days where you don't give an F how you look. We need those too, because it's important to be confident in you and not just how you look. But your appearance, I know that this can be controversial. I know that not everybody wants to hear this, but it is the truth. The way you take care of your current appearance will affect your confidence. Now, during my own confidence building journey, I started to make sure that for the most part, I was wearing clothes that made me feel cute, but also comfortable. And for me, I started to learn how to do some basic makeup techniques that just kind of helped to enhance my beauty, not to cover it up completely, right? And it really doesn't take a lot. You don't even have to do as much as I like to do. I learned how to do a couple of easy hairstyles that I did the most consistently, but also kind of made me feel really pulled and put together. I like wearing some simple pieces of jewelry. Maybe it feels like I wear a lot to you. It doesn't matter. This is supposed to be customized to you, but that's one of the things that gets me into my feminine energy, and it just helps me get into the energy of somebody who feels confident, because that's part of what we're doing, is helping ourselves sort of take on that role. It's still important to do all the other work that we just talked about. Just changing your appearance alone is not enough, which is why this is toward the end of the video. But it is still important for those of you who've just kind of been going, I don't care. Oh, I'm ugly anywhere. Oh, I'm fat anyway. So what's the point? As long as you think like that, that's exactly where you're going to stay. So when it comes to clothes, I know that some of you who are in bigger bodies will say to me, oh, but Jessie, it's so much harder to find clothes, and so therefore I just don't really even try. Now, I'm not going to invalidate you and say that it hasn't maybe been more difficult for you to find clothes that you like. I'm also not denying that there aren't enough companies maybe that are making these kinds of clothes, which I think that they should. However, we cannot, while we're building confidence, remain in that victim mentality and essentially just say, it's hard, so therefore I'm not even going to try. That is the old you. That is the version who does not feel confident about themselves. We're going to take that and we're going to say, it doesn't matter because I know it is out there and I am going to find it, and I'm going to do the best that I can with my current circumstances. Do not have an all or nothing mindset. That is not going to help you build confidence at any size. We got to start with where you are right now and say, I'm going to do the best with what I have right now. I'm going to look for inspiration. Pinterest, I've seen stuff on Instagram with plus size women. I've seen some women put together some incredible outfits. And I do not believe that you even necessarily have to spend an arm and a leg. For those of you who might be comparing your body to where my biggest body is, which by the way, you shouldn't be doing that because everything is relative. Technically, I was plus size. I'm not going to say sizes because I know that sometimes people can get triggered by that, but I was plus sized in my heaviest body, okay? And I know what you mean, and maybe I don't know for your personal experience, but we're not going to use that as an excuse to not put more effort into our appearance as part of, remember I said it's part of, not all of, not even the biggest piece of, but it is important as part of our building confidence journey. Another thing that I really wish I had knew about during the journey, but I've really only learned much more about in the last 6 months to a year, is about color season analysis. It has absolutely transformed my confidence. Now, I already had built up confidence, but I didn't know that there was a whole other level just in wearing the colors that look best on me could really do for me. And I would highly, highly suggest you doing that. I will put the website that I used initially to start learning about that. I'll put the link here. I'll try to remember to link it in the comments below. To get started. It's not foolproof, so you do kind of have to get an idea from that. Usually it'll at least kind of send you in the right direction, but it is important that you kind of do a little bit of research. Basically, the most important things you need to know are whether or not you have a warm or cool undertone. So I discovered that I have cool tone skin. So that's the first place to start, and then you go down the rabbit hole from there. It basically has to do with contrast between your eye color, skin color, and your hair color, and your skin undertones. From there, when you discover the color palette that truly is best on you, this isn't about, oh, but I love these colors. You can, of course, always wear whatever colors that you want to. But when you learn your color palette, It enhances your natural beauty like nothing you've ever seen before. And one of the biggest tips I always have to getting a glow up is to learn your colors. You will be amazed at how many compliments you start getting from people, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't have to change anything else, right? But it really just brings it out in you. If you need help, this is one of the things that I am now helping people with in coaching. Truly life transforming. Okay, also another thing that I wish I had learned is about the Kibbe body type system. Now, this isn't about what the best body type is, and it has nothing to do with needing to be a certain size. What I love about learning your Kibbe body type is they essentially are teaching you that your natural body type, meaning the one that you were born with, down to your bone structure and the way that flesh sits on your bones, cannot be changed, and that it doesn't need to be changed in order for you to look good. It helps you see what kind of clothes will look best on your natural born body type at any size. And I love that because it's so body inclusive, and it's fantastic for when you want to improve your confidence at any size and you don't need to change your size in order to do that. So again, if you'd like some help with that, that's something else I can help you with in coaching, but I highly recommend you looking into that. And there are also lots of incredible YouTube channels out there that can help you learn more about the Kibbe body type system. Also, please make sure that you are taking good care of your skin. It does not mean that you need to have an expensive or really complex skincare process. You just need a good cleanser. My cleanser is literally like $10. It is incredible. You need a good moisturizer. Again, this does not need to be expensive. I want to say my moisturizer is like $15 to $20, something like that. And a good sunscreen, whether you want to use a chemical sunscreen or a mineral sunscreen, it's up to you. But it's also important to know your particular skin type. And then if you want to add other skincare products to, whether it's for redness or anti-aging or dark spots, whatever the case, you can certainly do that. But I'm telling you, when you take at least very basic, really good care of your skin, it transforms your appearance. It is you putting that effort into taking care of yourself. It's really healthy for your skin. It makes you glow from the outside, from the inside out. I mean, you do look glowing on the outside, but it does wonders for helping you feel confident and at any size, at any stage in your life. And I started learning about skincare at the beginning part of my confidence building journey, but I've learned so much more in just the last year, and it doesn't take as much as you think it does. Take good care of your hair. I've said this before, learn your hair type and just take basically good care of your hair. You do not need to do anything fancy. You don't need to go to the salon all the time for the latest styles. Take good care of the hair that you naturally have, and it will enhance your beauty. I promise you. Take good care of your teeth. Some people neglect their teeth. It's very important. I'm thinking of you, Stella, if you're watching this video. It is incredibly important to take care of your teeth. I'm not going to get too much into food, nutrition, or exercise today, but learning how to eat intuitively in a way that truly makes you feel your best, gives you the best energy, that's also going to do wonders for your confidence. You do not need to diet. In fact, I will always tell you, do not diet. Be done with dieting. Don't do those kinds of extremes. Do not do extreme workout programs. That's only going to drain you. It's going to make your health worse, and that's never going to make you feel confident. But learn how to intuitively move your body in a way that feels good to you. That is absolutely going to help with your confidence. If you want more videos on this, I will make them in the future. And this leads me so nicely into make sure that you do things that are fun and that build your self-esteem in your life so that you're not just chronically fixating on things that you think are wrong with you. When all we do is spend time focusing on what's wrong with us, not only do we program that into our subconscious mind, which then makes us focus on that stuff more, and then, as I've explained to you guys in many other videos and will continue to for the rest of my coaching career, is that the more you focus on that, it is going to affect your internal health and it's going to affect your physical appearance on the outside. It just will. And when you're doing things that are building your self-esteem, you're learning new skills, you're spending time on your hobbies and practicing and improving on those, and you're making time to do things that are fun, as well as things that are truly relaxing, and you're focusing on self-care, when you're doing those things, you do feel more confident because you realize that there's so much more to you than just the way that your body looks, that the more than just your size. You realize that life can be so much more than that, and you're actually taking the time to enjoy all of life. And as I've told you guys before, when I was on my confidence building journey, I started bringing things back into my life that either I hadn't done in a long time or that I really had not let myself do much of my life because I spent so much time criticizing myself. And one of those things was singing more. And I grew up singing and I wanted to be a singer. And I felt like my voice was so bad for a multitude of reasons that I won't get into. And so I hid it, and I didn't even do it that often anymore because my confidence and my self-esteem were so low. And then the worst that I felt about my appearance and my size, I was like, well, I sure as heck can't sing now because of all the reasons we tell ourselves, right? Is you can't feel confident. You don't want to let anybody see you when you look like that. And it was bullshit. It was. So I started doing it more. And again, it helped having influence of other people and other singers who looked more like me at the time, who were doing these things, who were doing things that they loved. I started learning a new language. I started getting more into spirituality and astrology and all this stuff that some of you might consider woo-woo, but I don't care because it makes me feel amazing. Manifestation. I got really into manifestation throughout this process, which, side note, it's going to tremendously help you when you're wanting to build confidence if you're interested in it. But do things that are fun. Do the things that light you up more often. And you will become this person who focuses more of the time on why life is good and why you're good, why you're great, because you're doing all these things to build your self-esteem. And that just builds on itself and builds on itself. And before you know it, you're like, hey, overall, I feel really good about myself most of the time. This is a process. It does take doing all these things. And like I said toward the beginning of the video, I know that this isn't easy, but again, you aren't here because you are expecting it to be easy. You're here because you're ready for a change. And these things, when you follow all these steps I just gave you today, you will turn your life around and you will be able to be confident at absolutely any size, at absolutely any stage in your life, and you'll always know how to come back to that. If ever you do, because it's normal for all of us, if you have a tougher day, a tougher period of your life, where maybe you're not feeling your best, it reminds you to come back to that because now you know exactly how to get that confidence back. Okay, so I sincerely hope and I intend that this video helped you. If you want me to help you do exactly everything that I've been telling you in this video and customize it to you, sign up for one of my coaching programs or one-on-one sessions. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.